Michael Cohen, for those who didn't hear your immediate reaction to the Trump Organization's conviction of 17 felony counts earlier in the week, it took the jury less than 10 hours to deliberate. Alan Weisselberg, who pled to 11 felony counts, testified in that trial, as well as other individuals in the Trump Organization, many who you know and had worked with. What was your reaction to the conviction of the Trump Organization?
Well, I was certain that the conviction was going to go the way that it did. I believe that Alvin Bragg, one of his concerns was that there would be a Trump supporter that regardless of the information, the testimony, the facts, that they would say, we're not going to convict Trump or his company or anything like that. And so there would have been a hung jury. But once I saw the decision and I realized we're talking about 17 counts, and a multi-pronged type of a scam, of a scheme, I wanted to see what the jury had to say. And one of the ways that I was able to gauge that was, of course, based upon the jury's final statements. And the jury did not believe Alan Weisselberg. This is an interesting question right now. Yeah. The jury did not believe much of what Alan Weisselberg said while he was on stand, including the fact that Donald Trump knew nothing about any of the payroll issues, the Trump payroll that was at one of the corporations, that he knew nothing about the leases or the rents and so on, that Alan basically fell on the sword and made the statement that he did it by himself based upon greed. Now, I've been before, as I've told you, Bagel, that many, many times, almost 13, 14 times to the DA when Mark Pomerantz, Carrie Dunn were there. And I expressed to them what I'm going to say to you, which is that nothing went on at the Trump Organization without the direct knowledge and the express written consent by Donald J. Trump. And so that is a lie, to say the least. The thing that I'm curious is, what now is the DA's office going to do in regard to the fact that Alan was required to tell the truth, or the 100-day sweetheart deal that he was getting is out the door and he could face up to 15 years. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do.
One of the things I've been hearing also, though, is that there's some other crimes that they have not yet charged Alan Weisselberg on, that they can still charge him on, and they are currently investigating something that you know a lot about, which we've heard through lots of media reports, and that's the investigation relating to the Stormy Daniels hush money. To say you know a lot about it would probably be the biggest understatement out there. But do you think that there's more potential criminal liability for Alan Weisselberg? And what do you think generally happens next with the Manhattan District Attorney? Are they looking there? Are they looking at the financial fraud valuations, a criminal corollary to what Letitia James, the New York AG, is doing? What do you think's going on?
Okay, multi-pronged question. So to answer the first part.
Like in everything bagel.
Yes, exactly in everything bagel. To answer the first part, I don't think Alan Weisselberg would be a part of that investigation, assuming one even occurs. I believe that that investigation would be against Donald, Don Jr., Eric, and potentially some others. That's, of course, up to whether Alvin Bragg decides to follow what Mark Pomerantz and Carrie Dunn had been saying all along, which is why they left in protest and resigned, that there is certainly enough specific information in order to bring this indictment. If they do it, especially now that they have brought on Matt Colangelo, who is known for this type of litigation, who is involved in other Trump litigation, including the foundation and so on. We will see. And I believe that if there's going to be an indictment, and let me just say this because I've been right with a lot of my predictions. I do believe that the office will do this, and I do believe that it will happen sometime very early in January. That's what I believe. Do I think Alan Weisselberg will be a part of it? No, I don't. But I do believe that the district attorney's office should certainly be looking at rewriting that sweetheart plea deal that Weisselberg got that required him to tell the truth. He did not. Now, as it relates to Tish James, that's a totally different scenario, which you and hopefully your listeners and the followers are fully aware of. That is a civil case. And in that 220 plus page lawsuit, Tish James is asking for, at a minimum, a baseline of $250 million. Now, the interesting thing is, in a criminal case, which we just finished at the DA's office, the standard that is employed is substantially greater in a criminal case, of course, than a civil, because it ultimately can lead to your loss of freedom. Whereas on the other side, it's basically a loss of money. I think Tish James's case is a no-brainer. I think our unsinkable Molly Brown for an attorney general, the incredible Tish James, has this already locked up. It's just going to be a matter of how much. And I believe that she's going to be looking for a whopping settlement amount, which she will get either by the Trump Organization agreement or by the trial. And I believe it'll be somewhere in the tune of about $750 million with penalties and interest. So we obviously have to wait for all of this. The problem is that we are all right now so tired of every day the discussions of Donald J. Trump. We all have what I refer to as Trump fatigue. And we just want to see the wheels of justice turn. We don't really see that a lot. But I do believe that this case now, post the district attorney decision, or I should say the jury's decision in the DA case, I think changes everything. And I think we're going to see a much more expeditious resolution to a series of matters that are currently plaguing Donald and his company.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.